Patch note 1.7.32 is live on the original server. Gusion Double 11 event and Mega Draw are accessible now. Many heroes got major tweaks in their skill sets, which we will be discussing in this video. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video we are going to talk about the patch note 1.7.32 of the original server, hero adjustments, upcoming skins and all the other changes made to it. This video will contain diamond codes up to 257 diamonds in certain parts of the video. Find those codes and be quick to redeem them from our website Kazukiofficialstore.com. The diamonds will be sent to you within an hour. Let's start with the hero adjustments. Leslie is getting buff. Now her every lethal shot deals true damage. The passive's damage is now changed from 110% total physical attack to 50 plus 100% total physical attack. And her enhanced basic attacks are now optimized. Fredrin is getting buff. Developers are making Fredrin new player friendly. His passive has a new effect now. Gaining combo points will now reset Crystal Energy's decay timer. His Crystal Energy will now decay slowly instead of disappearing. The reduction per second of Crystal Energy is increased by 5%. The damage to Crystal Energy ratio is increased by 15% and the ratio at which his ultimate converted Crystal Energy is lowered by 5%. His skill 1 will now have an extra physical attack bonus. However, his ultimate Crystal Energy bonus is reduced by 5% and the ratio in which his ultimate converted the Crystal Energy into actual HP is doubled. Also, now you will get HP as a skin attribute instead of a physical attack. Carmilla is getting buff. The stolen defense is increased by 1 point in the early game and decreased by 1 point in the late game. Her ultimate is now revamped and much more refined. The damage is increased by 175 points in the early game and by 275 points in the late game. However, the magic power bonus is reduced by 30%. The linked damage ratio is reduced by 20% and the linked control ratio is increased by 30%. Her special partner skill is adjusted. The base shield is increased by 300 points at all levels, but the cooldown is increased by 25 seconds. Gusion's Double 11 skin has been released, and if you want to get it for a cheaper cost, you can get it from Smile.one website. Plus, there is also an ongoing offer on Smile.one where you will be able to get diamonds at a discount of 20% when using Alipay plus Gcash. A wide range of packs are listed here, so choose your packs according to your needs. I will take a link in the comment section, do check them out. Kaja'S is getting buff. His skills are now getting major tweaks. In his attributes, base physical defense is increased by 4 points and HP growth is increased by 20 points. His passive has a new effect now. His enhanced basic attack and all skill damage will now paralyze and reduce the movement speed of the enemies and will also lower their damage dealing ability by 8% for 4 seconds, which can be stacked up to 4 times. When using his skill 1, he will gain HP upon damaging enemy heroes. Its cooldown is now reduced by 0.25 seconds at all levels. His second skill damage is reduced by 50 points at all levels and the magic power is reduced by 45%. His ultimate damage is also reduced by 100 points at all levels and the magic power is reduced by 20%. Its cooldown is now reduced by 0.5 seconds at all levels. Minotaur is getting buff. His accumulated rage will no longer dissipate. However, the rage gained by damaging heroes is slightly reduced. His skill 1 will now knock the hit target airborne. His skill 2 will no longer gain rage. In his ultimate, he can gain rage for only 3 times now. In his enhanced ultimate, he no longer knocks targets airborne in the first 2 phases but slows them by 70% instead, and this skill is unaffected by crowd control effects. Florine is getting buff. Her passive is slightly tweaked. The Flower of Hope will now give plus 5% adaptive attack and the upgraded Flower of Hope will now grant 10% physical and magical lifesteal. It has a new effect now where the allied heroes with Flower of Hope gain shield each time they are healed by Florine's skill. Once upgraded, the shield will have more HP and will slightly increase the hero's movement speed. Olus is getting buff. His passive is adjusted. Enhanced basic attack damage is changed. Now it deals 60 to 100 points of damage depending upon the level and 100% physical attack. The stake condition and the benefits from each stake are changed. His skill 1 will now remove all slow effect and gain extra movement speed. His skill 2 is adjusted. The cooldown is increased by 2 seconds in the early game and by 1 second in the late game. The attack speed boost is increased by 60%. Each basic attack now refreshes the duration of any remaining stakes. His ultimate has a new effect now. It slows the target by 90% for 0.5 seconds upon cast. Khalid is getting buff. His passive's enhanced basic attack animation is slightly decreased and the blink distance is increased. The lingering sand effect is now changed into 40% slow for 1.5 seconds against enemies hit by an enhanced basic attack. And the damage is changed to 50 points and 140% total physical attack. His skill 1 has a new effect now. Enemy heroes and creeps hit are pulled towards him and the skill's force swing time is slightly reduced. Alice is getting buff. She got a new effect where creeps also drop blood orbs. And the blood orbs dropped by nearby dying heroes have been made easier to see. Her ultimate mana cost is reduced by 10 points in the early levels. Audit is getting buff. When casting her ultimate, she can now dash a short distance instead of a dash before casting the skill. Eve is getting adjusted. Her skill 1 base damage is increased by 30 points in the early level and by 80 points in the maximum levels. The damage from extra magic power is increased by 10%. Her ultimate area is now 5x5 and can no longer be interrupted by CC effects, excluding suppression. The immobilized time is increased by 0.5 seconds and the cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds at all levels. The base damage of her ultimate is reduced by 20 points in the early levels and increased by 50 points at the maximum level. And the damage gained from extra magic power is increased by 10%. Jask is getting adjusted. His skill 1 cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds at all levels and cooldown is no longer refunded when the Nightmaric spawn is killed. His skill 3 cast time is now 0.2 seconds and spread 6 Nightmaric clones across 2 rows. Extra magic power is reduced by 15%. The multiple bullet decay ratio is now decreased for all subsequent bullets and fixed an issue where the mana cost was higher even when not enhanced. Faramis is getting nerfed. His skill 1 cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. The second skill initial damage is increased by 30 points at all levels. The extra damage from total magic power is increased by 36%. Teammates will no longer retain the buffs from his ultimate after they leave the range. Lapu Lapu is getting buff. Cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds in early levels and increased by 1.5 seconds at the maximum levels. His defense buff from ultimate is increased by 30 points in early levels and 20 points at maximum levels. Luo Yi is getting buff. Her ultimate maximum range is increased by 8 at all levels. Vexana is getting buffed. Her ultimate cooldown is reduced by 14 seconds at maximum levels. Harley is getting buffed. His skill 1 cooldown is reduced by 1.5 seconds in early levels and by 0.5 seconds at maximum levels. After returning, he will no longer retain the movement speed bonus from the first cast. Granger is getting a buff. He is getting a boost in his jungling abilities. Skill 1 will now deal 30 points more damage to the creeps. Beleric is getting a buff. His second skill mana cost is reduced by 30 in the early level and by 40 points in the max level. Baksha is getting a buff. His passive will now reduce more shield of the enemies, and the effect is increased by 20%. His second skill cooldown is also reduced to 5 seconds at the maximum level. Edith is getting buffed. Her passive damage to minions will be 180%. Ultimate is also buffed. The defense to magic power conversion is increased to 3.2, which is 0.7 points higher. Gadot Kaja is getting buffed. His second skill, base dash distance, is increased and the time to charge maximum dash distance is reduced. Yin got a buffed. His ultimate got an increase of 30 points of defense in the early level, and it is increased by 20 points on the maximum level. Xborg is getting a buff. His base HP is increased by 80 points and the base HP armor is increased by 96 points. Atlas is getting nerfed. His passive, magic and physical defense increase is reduced by 9 points in the early level and it is lowered by 20 points in the maximum level. Melissa's early game is getting nerfed. Her first skill cooldown is increased by 1.5 seconds in the early level, and her second skill cooldown is also increased by 2 seconds in the early level. Gusion is getting nerfed. The damage increase by target's lowest HP from each stake is reduced by 1%. And his second skill, first cast, will now have 10 points less base damage. Also, the magic power gained by the item is reduced to 40%. Earlier it was 50%. Moving to the upcoming skins. As we already know, there are going to be a bunch of new skins like Leslie's Annual Starlight, Ruby and Angela Aspirant, etc. We have already uploaded a detailed video on it. Check it out if you haven't yet. And if you want to check its in-game effect, we have uploaded a video on it too. Let's move on to the battlefield adjustments. Twin's Wing got buffed. The extra 15 physical attack bonus is now turned into a 5% spell ramp, and the component's Iron Hunting Bow is replaced by Hero's Ring. When selling any boots, you will get 30% of their original price instead of 20%. Gold Lane outer turret damage reduction is now 30% instead of 25%. Moving on to the upcoming event. There are a bundle of events coming up, out of which Gusion's Double 11 and Mega Draw are already live. The rest of them will be live soon. We have already made a video about those events, you can check it out. The links will be in the description. Lastly, we have system adjustment. You can now send unstable network signals that include current ping information by tapping on the ping. You can now directly copy emblem presets from the leaderboard. Match history can be set to show to friends only. And added the new Hero Joy theme song to the background music interface. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.